Hello, foolish mortals. Halloween is right around the corner, and it's my favorite time of year, so in order to set the mood, I have 5 spooky Halloween manga recommendations for you. And if any of you are wondering and counting like, hey, this isn't 5, that's because I did buy a whole bunch of manga digitally as a part of the latest horror-themed Humble Bundle, and this isn't sponsored. I just know that manga is expensive, so I wanted to make it convenient for all of you batties and ghouls, so check it out. I'll leave the link, but basically Kodansha partnered with Humble Bundle, and the proceeds also go to charity. So it's a win-win. You get your spooks, and you help a charity. So I'll leave that link in the description. But let's get on to the horror. Right off the bat, I'm going to start with my favorite series in Shonen Jump right now, and that is Chainsaw Man. The story follows Denji, a broke devil hunter who's desperate and drowning in debt, so he hunts devils for some moolah. However, one day on the job, he is betrayed and he is killed. However, his longtime chainsaw dog devil friend gives him a second shot at life, and he becomes Chainsaw Man. And what's so neat about this story is that the different devils represent phobias and fears, and the more powerful the fear, the stronger the devil. And I can't gush more about this manga. Like, it is so raw and gnarly with the fighting scenes, and then there's just these scenes of the most haunting, surreal imagery I have ever seen in manga, and I just, like, my stomach drops and I feel numb, and I have to sit back and process what I just read. So I do not say that lightly. This is a heavy manga mixed with a lot of absurdism, so fair warning there. Plus, there's a character who can only think of Halloween. She has Halloween on the brain, almost literally, and the first physical English volume is coming out this month, so I had to include Chainsaw Man on this list. Okay, for the next one, full disclosure, if you like linear, straightforward stories, this one might not be your cup of tea. However, if you're like, just give me that weird juice, just give me nightmares, this one is for you, and I am talking about PTSD Radio, which was actually recommended to me by a viewer of mine, and I appreciate that because it's like a series of seemingly incohesive nightmares, dream sequences, and then it gradually, the story coalesces together and everything becomes interrelated, but that part is a mystery, so I won't give that away. But essentially, it's very classical feeling Japanese horror, and they're just panels that give me the genuine heebie-jeebies. So it's a good one. Okay, for my next one, I had to include a story about my favorite creature of the night, and that is vampires. So I have Happiness, and the story follows a bullied high schooler who is one day attacked by a mysterious vampire girl, and she gives him an offer. Either you die here or you become like me, and he's desperate. He doesn't want to die, so he says yes. So essentially the story follows him trying to reconcile his human self with his newfound vampire abilities and needing to drink blood and needing to avoid sunlight and all of that. However, what really makes this story shine is that it really captures desires and loneliness, and the mangaka Oshimi, he's fantastic at portraying someone's inner psyche. So if you love the psychological aspect of Tokyo Ghoul, you'll probably love this one because I guess you can say he humanizes vampires, if that makes sense. And speaking of Oshimi, I just had to include one other of his manga on this spooky list because I know I've also mentioned this in my summer reads video, but he is fantastic at psychological horror thrillers. So here I have Blood on the Tracks, and it follows an average boy who has a doting and protective mother. However, one day during a family camping trip, he sees his mother doing something very terrible and awful, and together that secret starts to tear the whole family apart. And there's no supernatural elements to this story. It's about having a monster much closer in your home and about wolves in sheep clothing. So for me, almost having someone who appears so normal and so kind have a very dark side to them, for them to just be human, that makes it all the more unnerving. So definitely I recommend Blood on the Tracks with a lot of trigger warnings. It deals with a very messed up family, and that's all I'll say. If you don't like children being treated poorly, then don't read this one. If you are comfortable with that, well, not necessarily comfortable with that, but you know what I mean. If you can handle that in a fictional setting, then I recommend this manga. Okay, for my last and final manga recommendation, I have pure nightmare fuel, and that is with Starving Anonymous, and the story follows a group of high schoolers who are on a school bus just going on their way home when they are hit with mysterious gas, and they wake up at a strange facility surrounded by dead, frozen bodies, and they find themselves having to fight for their lives. And I do have to warn that this is a very graphic seinen. There's a lot of body horror, lots of it. It is gnarly and gross. So if you have a light stomach, this one you might want to pass on. If you don't care or want to read it anyway and are a masochist like me, then go all for it. So if you like monstrosities and body horror and like people having to band together in a creepy place filled with monsters, then I think you will enjoy Starving Anonymous. But thus concludes all my manga recommendations for this Halloween. If you have any more spooky manga recommendations for me, because I am constantly looking for my next thrill. But anyway, let me know what your favorite scary manga and movies are. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful Halloween, everyone. Bye!